Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Astatya Visatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Premanandi Ki Jai. So there was once a man who always said, no time. So one day, a devotee was speaking to him and said, Prabhuji, Ram Navami is coming up. Can you come to the temple? He said, what is the date? He said, oh, it's April so-and-so. Oh, he said, no time. I have a very important business meeting of that day. That's okay, he said, no problem. We have another program in May. Can you come to that? He said, what's the date of that? May the 5th. Oh, he said, May the 5th, no time. I'm going to a seminar. I said, oh, it's okay. So we have another program in June. Would you like to come to that? He said, what's the date of that? June 6th. Oh, he said, no time. I'm taking a vacation in Mexico. So he got on the airplane to go to Mexico. And at one point, the captain of the plane said, ladies and gentlemen, we're having serious engine problem. If you know a prayer, say it now. Everyone got scared, and they could see the plane was going down. They saw one of the engines was on fire. People started to pray. Now, Mr. No Time, he also prayed. He said, Bhagavan, it's me. I know I don't come to temple, but please, I promise you, you make the plane go up, and I will put some money in the hundi. You know what Krishna said? No time. We have to make time for Krishna, because we don't know when we're going to die. It can happen any time. We don't know what our karma is. We only know when it happens. And our karma is always going to be a mixed bag of bad karma and good karma. So materialistic people, they think they're going to live forever. But devotees, they know at any minute they could die. Now that's not a negative way of looking at life. It's practical. Because if you're going to die, your 401k or your bank account or your friends or politicians that you know, they're not going to be able to save your life. There's only one person that can help you in such a situation. That's Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He saved Draupadi. He saved Arjuna and the Pandavas. He saved all people who remember him and chant his glories. So, Tasmat Sarvesu Kalesu Mam Anusmarayukicha Mayarpata Manobudir Mam Evaisya Samsaya. Therefore, Arjuna, at all times, remember me and do your duty in life. With your mind and intelligence fixed on me, surely you will come back to me. This is wisdom. Just like in the stock market, there are things called hedge funds. Any of you gentlemen know what a hedge fund is? No? You do? Yeah. So people that gamble on the stock market, and that is gambling, just like you go to a casino and gamble, the same thing as the stock market. And to hedge your bets, that means you can invest in some stocks that are highly highly, let's say, speculative, but give high incomes. And you can hedge your bets by investing in stocks that are gold standard. And even if your speculative stocks fail, still you get an income on the hedge fund. Well, we should hedge our bets in life. That is, the best insurance policy you can get is when Krishna protects you. So it is said, if Krishna protects you, no one can kill you. If Krishna wants to kill you, no one can protect you. So the best policy, insurance policy, is to become a dear friend of Lord Krishna and a devotee of the Lord. Now you've hedged your bets. You're safe in all situations. Because Krishna has a history. He says, Konteya Pratijanihi Nami Bhakta Panasyati. Declare it loudly, O Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. So Arjuna and the Pandavas were sure to lose the battle of Kurukshetra. They were far, far outnumbered by the army of Duryodhana and the Kurus. And they had greater warriors. Bhisma Pitamaha was not an ordinary human being. He was a Devata. Dronacharya, their guru, taught the Pandavas and the Kurus the arts of warfare. So therefore, they were sure to lose. But Krishna was on their side. Why? Because when there was a choice given to Arjuna and Duryodhana, so whoever came closer to Krishna while he was taking rest and saw him, and then Krishna opened his eyes and saw that person first, they would be able to have Krishna on their side, or whoever they wanted. So Arjuna and Duryodhana went to see Krishna. He was apparently sleeping, and Duryodhana forced himself to be right next to Krishna's head while he was sleeping. And Arjuna sat at Krishna's feet. So Krishna was facing toward Duryodhana, but with his eyes closed. But then he turned his head and looked directly at Arjuna. So that just proves that God is not manipulated by clever people. He is always going to favor his devotees. So now Arjuna had the first choice, whether he wanted to have Krishna himself or Krishna's Yadu army. So Arjuna chose Krishna, and Duryodhana was very happy because he said, just see how stupid Arjuna is. And Duryodhana got Krishna's army. And Krishna was not allowed to fight. He could only help Arjuna without using any weapons or without fighting himself. But Arjuna was satisfied because if Krishna is on your side, then definitely you will always be protected by the Lord, and definitely he will give you the knowledge by which you can come back to him. Therefore he says, Te samsatadiyuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Krishna says, one who always thinks of me, who's dedicated to me, who chants my names, who is always glorifying my transcendental qualities, I give them the knowledge by which they come to me. So this is what you call revelation theology. The Lord reveals himself to the devotee who is dedicated to him. Just like, let me ask you a question, okay? If you heard, what is your name?
Vanilla.
Huh? Vanilla? Like vanilla? Or?
Moon.
Oh, okay.
Moonlight.
So, if you heard that there was someone in Hyderabad that was always talking about you and saying very nice things, that you're such a sweet person, you're intelligent, you're always a giver, you're always helping others, and you're a wonderful, wonderful person to be a friend of. Would you want to meet that person? Right? You say. Now you know something about Krishna. The principle is begin with the known to understand the unknown. Now, you know one thing about Krishna now, because if you like to be glorified by someone, Krishna also, he'll likes to be glorified. Now, let me ask you a second question. If you had two friends, and one friend was always giving you something, and the other friend was always trying to take something from you, which one would you like? You give one, giver, right? So when people go in front of Krishna, they go like this, and say, Krishna, I have a backache, take care of that. My business is not doing any good, take care of that. My auntie also, she has some diabetes, you take care of that. And I'll put pachas paisa in the hoodie box. What? This is not a prayer. This is business. You see. So that Krishna, of course, is very kind to everyone, but that's not the way to approach it. But if you come to Krishna and say, Chintamani Prakata Satna Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Pritesu Sunabir Atipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That this is different because now you're glorifying God. You don't have to ask anything from God because He's in your heart as Paramatma. He knows more than you know about yourself and what you need and what you don't need. So you don't have to go to God to ask for anything. You simply learn to glorify God. But to do that, you have to have knowledge. Therefore, we have Bhagavad Gita and we have Srimad Bhagavatam. These two books are the greatest books in the history of the world, and they are read not only by people on this earth, but the Devatas also read these books and recite the prayers that are in these books. You don't have to make up a prayer. You simply repeat the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj, the prayers of Bhisma Pitamaha, and so forth, the prayers of Kunti Devi. Already they're perfect prayers. You don't have to make anything up. So Krishna says, Simvasta Swakata Krishna, or said in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Simvata Swakata Krishna, Punya Sravana Kirtana, Vidyantak Slobhadam, Deviduna Ti Sridit Satam. Krishna says, to hear about Krishna from the Vedic literature, or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita, is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Krishna who is dwelling in everyone's heart, takes a special interest in that person and helps that person overcome all the obstacles of material life and protects that person and gives knowledge to that person so they can make tangible spiritual advancement. Now here's one prayer, first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, 17th verse. If you understand this one verse, you will have prime time relationship with Krishna. Why? Because if you study the science of Krishna, which is the highest science in the universe, and it's a perfect science, because it's true in the past, it's true in the present, and it's true in the future. And it's true in all frames of reference, such as the material world and the spiritual world. So this is the highest scientific knowledge you can learn. Now, why is it science? Most people say it's mythology because they've been poisoned by the British. And the British took over the educational system in India, and they've basically educated 4 or 5 generations of young Hindus and poisoned them. They convinced many of the young students that the Vedas are mythology and the Bible is the truth. But in fact, it's the opposite. The Bible is very, very sketchy about who is God exactly and what is the spiritual world. There's almost no information in the Bible about the spiritual world. It's only one or a few sentences in which Jesus said, now I'm going to leave you, and verily I'm going to go to my Father's kingdom and prepare a place for you. That's it. There's nothing else about spiritual realm. Whereas Srimad Bhagavatam is the only scripture in which there's amazing amount of information about not only who Krishna is, but what is going on in the spiritual world. No other scripture in the world has such information. And you should be very proud that this information, or this Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken first in Bharat. And it is the definitive knowledge about who God is, what your relationship with God is, and how you can develop that relationship of love and devotion. So there's a saying in English, take the best and leave the rest. So we should take the best. It is Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. These two books are the quintessential books of spiritual knowledge. And if you want to, and they have 5 major subjects. First subject, who is God? And with tremendous amount of detail about who Krishna is. And then number 2, who are you? Who are you exactly? What is your real identity? Just like if you can summarize life as search for self-identification. Everyone is trying to figure out, who am I? Now, you cannot understand who you are in a vacuum. You can only understand who you are in relationships with other people. So, who's the best person to have a relationship with? Obviously, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then you will actually realize who you are. As Krishna says, Mamavam Sajiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. He says that we, the Jivas, are part and parcel of him, or Krishna. And we are eternal, Sanatana. So, in material education, they try and teach you that God is not a subject to discuss because they cannot measure God. They cannot see God. Therefore, they ignore the existence of God. Then they say that they cannot measure or see the soul. So they don't talk about the soul. Do they talk about God in your school? You went to school. No. Do they talk about the soul? No. You said, of course, the Muslims, they can talk about Allah as much as they want in the school. And the Christians, they can talk about Jesus as much as they want. But in Hindi schools in this country, you're not allowed to talk about religion. Is that right?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
No.
Nonsense.
That is nonsense, right? This is your own country, and you can't even talk about your God, and your children are not getting any education in school about who God is. You see? This is planned to destroy this country, to destroy Sanatana Dharma. This was the plan of the British. Lord Macaulay, in 1825, he asked a South Indian Brahmin, he said, "Sir, your people are good. Our people are not as good as your people. What's your secret? Why are your people so good?" And he said, "Well, we respect cows and honor them. We respect women. We respect children. We respect elders. And we respect Brahmana and priests." But those are genuine priests, not bogus priests. The genuine priests or the genuine Brahmanas, they have a vow of poverty. If they have one moringa tree and one cow, that's it. They're satisfied. They live a very simple life. They give free education to children in the villages. They also heal the sick with mantras and with advice. Like, for example, the best advice, don't cook with, don't eat maida. Don't cook with dalda. Don't eat anything that has preservatives in it. And offer your food to Krishna before you eat, and Krishna will offer it back as prasada. Now, don't drink coffee and tea. Nobody drank coffee and tea before the British came. Everybody drank lassi. Nobody cooked with dalda. That only started about 80 years ago when there was big propaganda in India. Oh, ghee gives you a heart attack. Dalda is good for you. Then 60, 70 years later, they said, don't eat dalda, you get heart attack. You say, this is all nonsense. And then also, don't drink coffee and tea. Coffee and tea are the British curse on Indians. Why? Because it causes high blood pressure, and it causes cardiac problems, and it causes diabetes. Now, almost everybody was trained to drink tea like the British and eat their maida crackers, right? That's enough to get you sick the rest of your life. So, therefore, we have to wake up and understand, old is gold. Your Vedic Sanatana Dharma culture was perfect. Now, let me ask you a question. Why do you think the Greek Alexander the Great, then also Muhammad Ghazni, and then the Mughals, and then the Afghanis, and then the British invaded India? Why did they come to India? Why didn't they go to Siberia and invade Siberia? Right? What's your answer to that? Why do you think they invaded India?
We were the richest country on the planet.
What?
We were the richest country on the planet.
India was the richest country on the earth. That's why they invaded you. And Lord Macaulay, after talking to that Brahmana, what did he do? He went back to England and he said, my dear fellow diplomats and gentlemen, we cannot subjugate this country of India unless we destroy their culture. Then we can subjugate them. And they began systematically to destroy Vedic Sanatana Dharma. And they've been successful, very successful. See, the Muslims were brutal, the British were subtle. They knew that if they could destroy the Sanatana Dharma culture of India, they could dominate this country. Okay, so therefore, Lord Macaulay came back and he opened the first slaughterhouse in Mumbai. And now, thanks to him, you have over 30,000 slaughterhouses in this country. And you become one of the major exporters of meat, and especially cow meat, around the world. How can you expect to have a peaceful life if you do such things? This direct violation of Vedic Dharma. Vedic Dharma has what you call yamas and niyamas. Yamas are things you should never do, and niyamas are things you should always do. So what are those things that you should never do? Meat eating, including cows, goats, sheep, and murgi, and you know, there's so many different types of meat. So meat eating should never be done. And then secondly, no intoxication, no charas, no biddy. We do Buddha yoga. Everybody else does biddy yoga. It's all nonsense, right? And then no no gambling, and no illicit sex. You should never do these 5 things. Now, what has happened? 5,000 years ago, Krishna said, don't do these 4 things. They're highly detrimental and self-destructive. Fast forward to today, these 4 things are part of American culture. And unfortunately, they've become part of the culture of India. And what is the result? I have the statistics for America. In America, due to intoxication, and there's so many different intoxicants now, you have marijuana, and then you have all kinds of benzodiazepines. These are so-called high-class drugs that relieve stress, because the Americans are stressed. Everything is highly competitive, and also India too now. So people need to take drugs to calm themselves down. 50% of the population of America are taking these type of designer drugs to keep their anxiety and control their anxiety and fear. So every year, over 1 million people in America die with overdoses of drugs. And there's a whole list of drugs that they take. Right? Then every year, then meat eating. The World Health Organization and the International Cancer Research Group both have come out in the last 5 years saying that meat causes at least 25 types of disease, and the number 1 and 2 is cancer and heart attack. So every year, at least 700,000 Americans die of heart attack, and over 600,000 Americans die of cancer. And then there's the other 25 diseases that they get from meat eating. Right? This is all verified statistics. If you want to know where to verify them, I will tell you. And then as far as illicit sex goes, there are at least 20 to 25 different transmissible sexual diseases in the United States, beginning with AIDS and etc. So, and you know how many people die of that? It runs into the millions every year. Just in 2020, 68 million Americans got sexually transmitted diseases. This is a holocaust. They didn't all die, but they got those diseases. Once you get those diseases, there's a whole list of them. It's very difficult to heal them. Okay, and then gambling. 2 million Americans are addictive gamblers, and another 20 million gamble off and on. And the average loss of money for a gambler is $45,000 to $70,000 in a lifetime. And gambling leads to all kinds of theft, fraud, embezzlement, and things like that, because people become addicted to gambling. They can't stop, so they'll resort to all kinds of illegal things to continue to feed their habit. So here we see what Krishna said, don't do. And these things are self-destructive things. They've become part of the culture today. And the statistics in India are worse than the United States, because you have 3-4 times the population here. Is it a fact? I mean, I heard that if you go to a small village now somewhere in Andhra or Tamil Nadu or whatever, there's 3 liquor stores in a small village.
Yeah. Yes.
How did that happen? Right? And at least half of all the Hindus are eating meat now openly. Another 25% eat meat outside the house. That means there's hardly 25% of Hindus that are actually vegetarian. Yeah.
Maharaj, no, just because you're saying a comment that this state right now, where we are saying Telangana, the chief minister claims with pride that we are the largest meat exporter of the entire India and the largest liquor shops.
Well, that's because he's a Christian.
No,
Is
no,
that
no,
right? Is he
no,
a
no.
Christian?
He is a
Andhra Pradesh is a Christian.
Andhra Pradesh
Andhra
is a
Pradesh
Christian.
is a Christian.
Telangana is
Oh yeah, I forgot. Well, wait a minute. Before it was one country or one
state.
That was before the Telanganas broke away from you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, see, that's the problem. Christians don't believe that animals have souls. Therefore, you can kill them and eat them. Now, let's ask this question. Is this true that an animal does not have a soul? No, but I'll give you the evidence. Animals have families. Human beings have families. Animals eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Human beings eat, sleep, mate, and defend. If you come with a knife to an animal, they'll probably run away. Like if you come with a knife to a chicken, you go, run away. So, if some big guy comes to you with a knife, you're going to run away too. So now there's so many points of comparison of animals and human beings. Then how can you say the animal doesn't have a soul? Well, then you could say that human being. So then you have to say, what's the difference between an animal and a human being? There's one difference. All the other things, they do the same thing. They have families. They eat, sleep, mate, and defend. They will run away if you try and kill them, etc. So what is the difference? The only difference is human beings can understand their relationship with God. Animals can't. So, therefore, if there are human beings that only eat, sleep, mate, and defend like animals, what does that say about those type of human beings? They're animals. They're not human. Because a human being tries to understand what their relationship, or what is the relationship with God. And why is that? Because then, let me explain one thing first. Why did I join the Hare Krishna movement? I was born a Christian. I still am a Christian. I have never given up faith in Jesus Christ. But when I was taught Bhagavad Gita by devotees, I learned more about Christianity than I ever learned before by reading the Bible. Why? Because I understood that Jesus was a pure devotee of the Lord. So, but he's one. In Bharat, you have hundreds and thousands of pure devotees in history, right? So, and also, according to some scholars, Jesus came to India and learned. He went all the way to Orissa, to Jagannath Puri, and studied Sanatan Dharma. And he came back to Palestine or Israel and began to teach it. What was he teaching? Well, what is Krishna consciousness teaching? Krishna consciousness teaches two things: the science of God and how to love God. That's what Jesus was teaching. He was talking about his Father, who is God, and he was talking about how to love God. See? So Christianity, even Islam, are actually Vedic religions, but a lot of strange things have entered into both of them, just like the Christians don't believe that animals have souls. I don't think the Muslims do either. That's why they kill them and eat them, right? But in Bharat, we have the knowledge that every living being, it can be an animal, it can be a plant, it can be a bird, it can be a snake, it can be a bug, or a human being, or a devata. Everybody has an eternal soul. And Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita, that the difference between the soul and the body, if you understand the difference between the soul and the body, your spiritual life begins. Most people never understand this today due to very substandard education that kids are receiving in school. And because of that, many young kids, after being indoctrinated for 12 or 14 or 18 years in these atheistic schools, they don't really believe in the Vedic Dharma anymore. And what is very strange in India, when people refer to the Shastras, they say that they are what you would call, well, they refer to them as, but, huh?
Mythology.
No, well, okay, yes, it's mythology, exactly right. So, but it's not mythology, it's the absolute truth. And it's been compiled by Vyasadeva. By the way, Vyasadeva did not have a computer. He didn't have a cell phone. He didn't use any material technology. And he's the greatest writer in the history of the world. Shakespeare is like a mosquito next to Vyasadeva, you see. So, how is he producing such profound literature? By the way, he's still alive. You might not be able to see him in Badarik Ashram, but he's there, and he's preparing the Vedas for the next Satya Yuga. So these are exceptional people. Like, for example, also Surya. Surya is a jiva like you and me. Brahma is a jiva like you and me. Varuna is a jiva like you and me. Indra is a jiva like you and me. They're called demigods, but they are, or devatas, but they're jivas. But they've achieved a very high level of spirituality and knowledge by practicing Sanatana Dharma or practicing Krishna consciousness. Now you can understand that you have been dumbed down by modern education. Your real potential, you could become Surya, or you could become Brahma, or you could become Varuna. These are titular positions, just like President of the United States. It's a title position. It changes, or even you have the President of India, it's a titular or a title position. Different people can hold that position. And the same with the Devatas. The only one that's sort of permanent is Lord Shiva, but everybody else is a jiva, like you and me. So that is a potential that we have. Surya controls the sun. Brahma is the secondary creator of the material nature. And Varuna controls all the currents. So we don't understand what our potential is as a human being because of modern education. It dumbs us down. It makes us stupid. And because of that, we don't believe that we can be more than simply a mortal being. So, therefore, in the past history, there was Narada Muni. His mother was a single parent, and she didn't have a husband, and she was very poor, and she could not send her son to a school. That's how poor she was. But for 4 months, she became the servant of 4 saintly persons, or mahants. And for 4 months, her son, because he didn't go to school, also associated with these great Bhakti Vedanta devotees. And Narada Muni, as a little boy, he was only 5 years old, he would sit down and hear the discourses of these great devotees, and he would help serve them their prasadam, and they would leave some remnants, and he would eat some of those, and he became educated. He became a devotee at 5 years old by associating with such saintly persons. So therefore, there's a saying in English, tell me who your friends are, I will tell you who you are. So if you associate with people who eat meat, gamble, engage in illicit activities, and take intoxication, you will be like them. And people who don't believe in God and deny the existence of God, you will end up being like them. Or if you associate with genuine sadhus, just like you have Prabhuji here is a genuine sadhu, right? And he's dedicated his life to Krishna and dedicated his life to reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Prabhupada. You associate with him, you become a devotee. But you associate with the drunkards and the dacoits and things like that, you become like them. So number one thing for spiritual advancement is associating with genuine devotees who actually follow the four regulative principles of Krishna consciousness. So we just discussed the yamas, the things that you should never do. Now there are the things that you should always do. Number one, always chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Why? Because Krishna's name and Krishna aren't different. So if you chant Coca-Cola, 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 you'll never taste Coca-Cola. But if you chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, not only you will feel the presence of Krishna, but eventually Krishna will appear in front of you. You'll be able to talk to him. Now, what does this mean? You've heard that Sanjaya, he was sitting in Delhi or Hastinapur 5,000 years ago, and he was explaining to Dhritarashtra what was happening in prime time in Kurukshetra, which is like maybe 300 miles away. Now, there was no internet then, there was no television, there was no radio. How was he able to do it? Well, you have the internet today, but then there was the Krishna net. It's much more scientifically superior to the internet because you have the equipment already in this body to connect to the Krishna net. You don't know that, but we have evidence of that. So, therefore, when you give up those four bad things, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, and meat eating, and you take up chanting Hare Krishna, 1. 2, hearing every day Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by genuine devotees. 3, coming to the temple and performing seva and associating with genuine devotees. And 4, eating only Mahaprasad. Now let's talk about Mahaprasad. Patam pushpam palam tuyam yomi bhakta prayachati tadham bhakti bharatam asnami preta anaham. Krishna says, offer me with love and devotion a leaf, water, fruit, and flower, and I will accept it. Now I can guarantee you, Krishna doesn't need a leaf, water, fruit from you. But he says, offer me with love and devotion a leaf, water, fruit, and flower, and I will accept it. So there was one time a young boy, he was only 5 years old, and he went to his Pitaji and said, Pitaji, can you loan me $5? And his father said, why you want it? He said, I can't tell you, it's a secret. Okay, all right, here's $5. So a week after that, it was Pitaji's birthday. So his 5-year-old boy bought him a present. So when he opened the present for his birthday, it was a pink tie with a blue elephant. And Pitaji said, oh, this is the best present I've ever got in my life. And he thanked his son. And he said, well, how did you buy this? And the son said, Pitaji, I can't tell you, it's a secret. Now, do you think he's ever going to wear that tie, a pink tie with an elephant, a blue elephant? Probably not. Right? But he appreciated the gesture of his son, even though he gave him the money. But his son showed his love for his father by buying that tie for him. So we see Krishna doesn't need leaf, water, fruit, flower, but he's looking for your love and devotion. Now, love is a very difficult thing today because most people think lust is love. This is ruining relationships. This is ruining marriages also. There's a saying in English that women give sex to get love, and men give love to get sex. And this is a very cruel type of proverb, but generally today that's true. People don't really know what love is, but they do know what lust is. And what is lust? This is explained in Bhagavad Gita that uh, that by contemplating the objects of the senses, one may develop attachment. And if that attachment increases, it becomes lust. And if lust is frustrated, the person becomes angry. And when there's anger, there's delusion. And where there's delusion, memory becomes confused. And when the memory is confused, intelligence is lost, and one falls down into the whirlpool of material birth, death, old age, and disease. So we see that lust evolves from, it all begins by not seeing correctly. So in Sanskrit, in English, we have the word philosophy. Philosophy is made up of two Greek words, and it means the love of wisdom. But in Sanskrit, there's a different word for philosophy. Do you know what the word is for philosophy? It's not tattva. It's not tattva. Darshan. What does darshan mean? How you see.
See.
You see, that's the word for philosophy in Sanskrit. How you see. Like, for example, a mother sees her child with love and protection. And a child molester looks at the same child and sees an object of exploitation. Two people looking at the same thing with completely diametric different understandings of what that child is. See? So therefore, the Sanskrit word for philosophy is the correct word. It's how you see. Now, when you are educated in a demon school, they teach you to see other people as objects of exploitation. But when you're educated in a devotee school, you are taught to see people not as a body, but as a walking mandir, because Paramatma is in the heart of every living entity with Jivatma. So the primary quality of everything in this material world is Krishna, because he's present in every atom of the universe and in the heart of every living entity. This is what you want to teach your children. They should not see a body, because the bodies are changing all the time. Just like when you're, I'll ask you a question. Let's see, one of the gentlemen. Do you know what your first body was? Can anyone say what the first body is? The first body is a microscopic sperm. You need a microscope to see it. Would anyone here deny that they were that sperm at one time?
Yes.
Anybody want to deny it? Raise your hand. I deny it. No, you cannot deny it. We all started out as a microscopic sperm that came from the father and entered the womb of the mother and found a what you call a nutrient source, which is the ovum. Now, that little fish that you were, that I was also, right, is carrying a jiva. Now, how did the jiva get into that little fish? We should ask this question. These are mysteries. Now, gentlemen, you produce about 500 million sperms in a lifetime. Do you know how you put the soul in the sperm? You don't? Huh? No. That's how the jivas fall down into the material world, but that's not how it goes into the sperm. Okay? Huh? No. Okay. I'm going to explain in a second. But I want to ask the ladies a question. Now, how many of you have children? You don't have to all raise your hands, but okay. Right. Now, I want to ask you all a question. Do you know how you made the body of the baby in your own womb? Let's see. The men don't know how they make the sperm, but they don't know how the jiva goes in the sperm. You don't know how you made the body of your baby. Right? These are mysteries. Now that little sperm, if the jiva is in the sperm, it carries all the information or the intellectual, let's say, the intellectual knowledge, how to make the body. Now, you know the body is very complicated, right? You have tendons, ligaments, you have arteries, and capillaries, and you have bones, and you have blood, and you have plasma, and you have stool, and urine. You have complex eyes, and ears, and nose, and skin. Oh, this is all science, right? And you don't understand anything about it. I don't understand it either, right? But somebody does understand it, right? And now I'm going to explain to you how stupid the modern scientists are and philosophers. The first, and I'll come back to the subject we're talking about. They all say, and if you're a scientist, you know, they all say that nature acts in an orderly way. If nature was chaotic, there would not be any science. You wouldn't be able to predict anything if it's chaotic. But nature's functioning in an orderly way. Just like now, you have the fan turning, you have the lights on, and you have the microphone. Did these things happen by accident? No.
Design.
They're all designed by intelligent people, right? Everything, your car, your apartment building, when you go to the office, everything is made by intelligent people. So one time, Galileo invited an atheist to his house, and he had made a model of the universe. So that when the atheist walked into the room where he had this model of the universe, he said, "Oh my God, Galileo, this is amazing. This is like a replica of the universe." He said, "Yes." He said, "How did you do it?" He said, "No, I didn't do it." "What? Who did it?" He said, "Nobody." "What? How did it happen?" He said, "It just came out of the air and fell into my house." He said, "Come on, you're just pulling my leg here. And I know that's not true." He said, "Wait a minute, let's go outside for a minute." So they go outside, it's early evening. He said, "You were just in my house and you saw a model of the universe, and I told you I didn't do it, it just happened by accident. And you said, no, I don't believe that. Now we're out here and we're looking at the universe, and you have said hundreds of thousands of times, this happened by accident." He said, "How can you say that this happened by accident, and the facsimile of it, you're insisting someone made it?" You see, that means the scientists are not rational. They're purposely irrational because they have a personal interest. Just like a businessman, a Bunyan, he'll say, "For you, I am not making any profit." No, he must be lying. How can he sell for no profit, right? But he says that, right? So you sort of ignore it because you know he's lying, right? But these scientists, they say we're teaching science, and religion is not science; it's myth. Well, wait a minute. When they say that there are the whole universe began by a big bang. Now, if I make a big bang in your kitchen, would it create something or destroy something? What do you think? Yeah. They're saying there was such a big bang that matter began as an infinitesimal, let's say, microbe or an atom of infinite density. That right there is nonsense. There's no such thing as an atom of infinite density, right? And they say it blew up and then went all over the universe, and because of gravity, it came together, and then they made planets, and then on the planets there was a primordial soup on the North Pole, and then lightning came and zapped the soup like that, and then one amoeba came, and then after that, Darwin's theory took over. Now, science is observation and experimentation, and then you have a theory. Where is the experiment of zapping a primordial protein soup and creating one amoeba? You tell me if it's ever actually happened. It's never happened. So this is not science, this is junk. This is gunk, as we say. See, they say science is observation, experiment, theory. Where's the experiment? They tried it already. They made a doll soup, right? And they zapped it with electricity, right? And it had plenty of proteins in it. Proteins are precursors of living cells. They didn't make a living cell. So, and then if you go on the internet, you'll see, they'll say, well, we don't know exactly how the first cell happened, but when it did happen, now we know the rest. Darwin took over. You look it up on the internet, you'll see. This is all nonsense. This is not science, and they're teaching that to kids. It all started by Big Bang, and everything, we all come from monkeys. Do you have a monkey in your family? Is there Bandar in your family? I don't have a monkey in my family. I know it. As far back as we go, they're all human beings. This is all nonsense. They're teaching that as if it's science. So, if we come back to what we were talking about, that is, that how does the soul or the jiva come into the sperm? It's Mahavishnu. Sa aikshita. Simply by looking, he projects jivas from the spiritual world right into the sperm, and then the sperm carries it, connects with the ovum, and that sperm has the jiva has all the information of how to make the body, and then the body is made. And then the little baby comes out. It has arms, legs, eyes, nose, skin, tongue, capillaries, this thing, that thing. This is science, but it's a higher science. And there's a higher scientist. His name is Sri Krishna Bhagawan. That makes sense, right? Everybody said, oh, Einstein's the smartest man in the world. Actually, he wasn't. He was not the smartest man. He was actually dumb. If you look up in his life, he did do some good experimentations in 1905, 1915, 1920. After that, he was never really productive after that. He became famous, but he was not productive. He tried to formulate the unified field theory of energy and matter. He failed. He was not able to do it. Why? Because he was limiting himself only to matter. But there's more than matter in the universe and in the creation. There's matter and spirit, just like it says in Bhagavad Gita. I'll end in a few minutes. It says in the second chapter, Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, second verse, and it says, Jnanam teham to vijnanam. What's this? Is this the third chapter? No, third chapter. Second verse. Anyway, Jnanam teham to vijnanam. Krishna says, now Arjuna, I'm going to explain to you everything phenomenal and everything numinous. Now you understand what the word phenomenal means. It's whatever you can see. Numinous is a big word. It's what you can't see, but it exists. Like, for example, if we were sitting here like this 150 years ago, And I told you, there are things called electromagnetic waves coming through this room. You can't see them, but they're carrying images and voices and movies and all kinds of things. He would say, "What kind of charas are you smoking?" he wouldn't accept it. He'd say, "What are you talking about? I don't see anything coming in this room, right?" Now, if I tell you right now there's electromagnetic waves coming in, would you deny it? No, you have your cell phone, you pick them up right away. You don't have the equipment yourself in this body, but you have the equipment in this cell phone. So these are unseen things that exist. That's what the word numinous means. That's why Krishna says, now I'm going to explain to you everything phenomenal and everything numinous. Now, who found out this science of electromagnetism? Well, it was number one, Faraday, who was a Britisher. Then Maxwell, Faraday's friend, who was a mathematician. And then it was Jagadish Chandra Bose, brilliant scientist. Of course, they didn't give him the Nobel Prize because he was Indian. They gave it to Marconi. But actually, he was the first. He demonstrated in the 1890s in the Royal Academy of Science in London the first targeted electromagnetic wave. He was on one side of the big hall of the Royal Academy of Science, and he projected a electromagnetic wave all the way on the other side and set fire to something. They thought he was a magician. He is the father of the television, radio, internet, cell phone. You should be proud of him. Now, that's not all that he discovered. He did a lot of research with very little equipment and very little money because he was living in a conquered land. By the way, never use the word Indian or Hindu because Indian that name was given by the British for conquered people. There's West Indians, there's East Indians. It's not the name of this country. And Hindu is not the name of the traditional religion of India. It's a mispronunciation of Sind by the Muslims. So if you use the name India and Hindu, you are still under the control of the Muslims and the British, because names have meanings. And this shows the tragedy of modern Bharat. You're being identified by your conquerors, and you're not being identified by your acharyas. And by the way, this is a land in which Lord Rama appeared, and he touched the earth here. And this is the land where Lord Krishna appeared, and many, many great acharyas. So that's who you are. You're not Indian, and you're not Hindu. You are Sanatana Dharmis, and you are Bharatiyas. Okay, so now, once we understand that there are many things we don't understand properly because of nonsense teaching, nonsense pedagogy, which is the theory of how to teach. The pedagogy in America and in India and around the world is atheistic humanism. Now your homework, I always give homework. You look up atheistic humanism. That is the theory that they're using to educate children. Previously, a mother and a father, before they gave their child to a teacher, they would first analyze very carefully the qualities of the teacher, what they eat, what they believe or don't believe, etc. If they saw that the teacher eats meat or gambles or has illicit sex or it takes intoxication. They would never give their child to such a person. Why would you give your child to a person who doesn't follow your culture, that has a completely different culture, right? They're following the culture of the Asuras. See, when Prahlad Maharaj, he was educated in the womb of his mother, Kayadu, his mother, the wife of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu went to do tapasya to become Amara. And his wife was alone and she was pregnant. And then the Devatas invaded Hiranyakashipu's kingdom. He was basically king of the universe at that time. And they caught his wife, and they found out the wife was pregnant. They were going to kill her. But right before they killed her, Narada Muni came and said, don't touch this lady. The child she has in the womb is actually a devotee. And they said, what? This is Hiranyakashipu. He's a Sura. He said, no, you don't understand. I do understand. He's actually a devotee. I'm taking her, I'm going to protect her in my ashram. And he took her away, saved her life. And he began to teach her Sanatana Dharma by chanting mantras, by explaining Bhagavad Gita. Now, by the 7th month of a child's, let's say, development in the womb of a mother, the child can now hear and understand things. And therefore, Prahlad was educated in the womb of his mother. It's called prenatal consciousness. So, ladies, whenever you're pregnant, eat only prasad and always have mantras and Krishna consciousness surrounding you so that you and your child are always hearing transcendental mantras and transcendental knowledge, and you're eating only prasadam, so the body of your baby is made with prasad. Okay, so now, Prahlad Maharaj, as soon as he was born, he was already a devotee. His father put him in a demon school where they teach, there's no God, and when you don't have to speak the truth, you say the truth, you say things in such a way that has 2 or 3 meanings, but actually you mean something different than what people think you're saying. This is what they teach politicians also. Therefore, Prahlad, when he went to that school and he started to hear what they were teaching him, he refused to learn it because he was already a devotee. Why should he learn the opposite of what he was taught by Narada Muni? So every time the teachers would leave the room, he would say, listen, my dear friends, we're all young boys and girls. Don't believe one word of what they're saying. It's all nonsense. One time, there was an Englishman that went to China, and he was giving a speech about how much English science and culture is good for China. So he was a real Britisher. So the way he talked was like very boring. He said, now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you about our British culture. And then he had a Chinese translator who said, Jingwa Hao, Zhouwa Zhao. All of a sudden, they started doing the snake dance. Have you ever seen Chinese do the snake dance? And they started saying, English, English, English. And they were doing the snake dance. And it went on for about 10 minutes. And the British was like shocked. And then they stopped and they said, and of course, we are giving you our technology. And the interpreter and the translator said, and everyone went crazy. They said, English, English, and they did the snake dance again. This went on for like 20 minutes, and the British was just watching this. He couldn't believe it. So he said to the translators, what are you telling them? He said, sir, I'm telling them, everything you say is nonsense. This is the truth. They're talking nonsense. And they're pretending as if they know what they're talking about. It's all nonsense from the beginning to the end. And they're indoctrinating your kids with this nonsense. Right? And then what's happened is, after the British left, the Gujaratis took over. They were doing the same thing that the British were doing, exploiting people, their own people. You see? So I hope there's no Gujarati here. Actually, I like all the Gujaratis. They have very good push-on. But anyway, I'm going to stop right there because I could go on all night telling jokes and talking about Shastra. But I'll let you ask me some questions. Hare Krishna. So you have to know what my rules are. No question, no eat. So if you want to eat quickly, at least ask one question, because Bhagavad Gita is questions and answers. Arjuna is asking so many questions and Krishna is answering. Padma Purana is questions and answers. Parvati is asking questions to Shivaji, her husband, and he's answering. Srimad Bhagavatam is questions and answers. Parikshit Maharaj is asking so many questions to Sukadeva Goswami and is answering. So this is the way you learn. You ask significant questions. Tat viti paripadena paripasena sevaya. Upadekshami te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. This is Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 34th verse. Krishna says, you must approach a bona fide guru. Now I'm going to tell you something. In India, you have gurus and kangaroos.
Kangaroos.
Be very careful. Do not accept a kangaroo as a guru. There's a big difference. Now, what's the difference? I'm going to explain it to you. Kangaroo says, why are you reading an old book that's 5,000 years old when I am here? You just listen to what I say. You know who says that? You know who says that? Asat Guru. I call him Asat Guru. This is a trick. First, they convince you don't have to read Shastra because they are Shastra in the flesh, right? You just believe what they say, and they speak, logically. So it's complete nonsense. Anyway, the real guru, you must approach the guru with pranipat, paripasena, and sevaya, with submission, asking significant questions, and offering seva. That creates the proper atmosphere or environment for questions and answers. The real guru has all the answers. What are the answers? The original guru is Krishna. He's the one who spoke Bhagavad Gita. He's the one who's expert on who Krishna is, right? He knows himself better than anybody else knows him, right? So if you want to find out who God is, you read Bhagavad Gita because it's Krishna speaking about himself. And therefore, if you want to approach a guru with these three proper feelings or attitudes, then Guru will answer your questions. And how does he answer questions? He simply repeats what Krishna has said. The acharyas in the parampara, they simply repeat what Krishna says. And the present Guru simply repeats what Krishna says. Then you know this is bona fide Guru. This is called the triangle of verification. The triangle has 3 points, 1, 2, 3. And then you connect them with lines. Number 1 is Krishna and his pravachan. Number 2 is the acharyas who repeat exactly, correctly, Krishna's original pravachan. And number 3 is the present Guru who repeats exactly what the acharyas have said and what Krishna has said. Then you close the triangle and you know it's the truth. But Bali Maharaj was not able to close the triumph. His guru, Sukracharya, told him, he taught him, Yajna Vaya Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the beneficiary of all yagyas. But then Lord Vishnu appeared as Vamanadev, a dwarf, a midget, who was very beautiful. And he had his kamandalu, and he had his stick, and he came to get done. And Bali Maharaj was a very generous person. Every month he was giving dawn to brahmanas. And when he came, Sukracharya said, don't give him a damn penny. This is Vishnu masquerading as a dwarf. He'll take everything away from you. Now Bali Maharaj was confused because his guru taught him, Yajna Vaya Vishnu, always give, or Krishna Madarpanam Astu, always offer your service, your love to Krishna. And now he's saying, this is Krishna appearing as a dwarf, don't give him anything. So he was not able to close the triangle. So he said, Gurudev, I humbly say, I cannot follow your instruction. He said, what? You're not following my instruction? I'm your guru. You have to listen to what I say. He said, I'm sorry, Gurudev, I cannot follow it because you are saying something different than what you said before. So he said, then I curse you to lose everything. And he said, well, actually, that's a benediction. If I give everything to Krishna, that's what I should do, because everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to me. I am nirmama, nirahankara. I don't own anything, and I don't have a false ego to assume things that are false, like I'm the owner, or I'm the incarnation of God, etc. So you've actually just blessed me. Now see, this is a secret. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you get into arguments in marriage. Sometimes your wife may insult you, or sometimes you may insult your wife or your wife's family. Now, people get really hurt and they get angry. And by the way, gentlemen, I want to give you a secret. Never, never, never say anything mean or nasty or abusive to your wife. Do you know why? Because women are like elephants, they never forget. Now, ladies, I'm going to tell you something also. Your husband is going to definitely make mistakes. They always do. You have to learn to forgive. Otherwise, your marriage is going to be ruined. So men, never say anything nasty, because these ladies are called Devi Dasi. They are devas. And they don't actually belong to you. They all belong to Krishna. He is the original Purusha. We're not Purushas. We're all Prakriti. We're all to be enjoyed by the Lord. And the women are Devis. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret. If you treat your wife really nicely, with respect, always speak gently, always be kind, always help her, especially when she's pregnant, then she'll be like Sita Devi. But if you're mean to her, she'll become Kalimata and ruin your life, make you really upset all the time, and say things that get you angry. So don't make that mistake. So now, let's ask one question. Yes, sir. What?
In Bhagavatam,
Bhagavatam, yes.
there is a sloka where it said that Mahabharata is written for three Vaishnav visible Yuna.
Yes.
By
Correct. Correct.
I want to understand. Mahabharata is a really happened instance.
Yes.
How it is meant for Vijayabalanu, Sri, Shudra? What is the connection? It sounds like it's like a creation, or like a
pejorative. The word is pejorative.
Exactly.
Sounds like it's less important or it's for lower class people.
Yeah.
So I just gave a lecture, right? And I spoke some Shastra and I told you some stories. Now, if I only recited Shastra the whole time, you would probably all check out. You wouldn't be able to follow it, right? It would be boring. So, you pepper it with stories.
Yeah.
Mahabharata is all stories. But the stories include Shastric points, but in a very entertaining way. It's just like watching a Bollywood movie. Previously, the Bollywood movies were good. They used to show Bollywood movies all over the Muslim world and all over the Soviet Union because they had good themes. How much a mother sacrifices for her son. How much his son loves his mother. These were all good themes. Now, there's no difference between Bollywood and Hollywood. It's all Asuric nonsense. Right? When in 1972, I went to a Muslim country called Morocco, which is in North Africa. And I went to a small town called Marrakesh, which was something like a tourist town. And I arrived there at 12 o'clock at night. They had a very small airport. And then I took a bus. And by 12:30, I entered in the center of Morocco. And as soon as I put one foot on the ground, I heard, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. I was shocked. I was dressed as a devotee, I had shaved head and everything, tilak. And I looked around, I thought maybe there's a devotee here. There was no devotee, it was a Muslim guy. And I went up to him, I said, Shuhai, I speak some Arabic. I said, how do you know this? He said, I saw the movie. I said, what movie? Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Dam Hare Dam. It's the true story, I'm not making it up. That's how much the Muslim countries liked Hindi movies. They loved them because they were good themes. They wanted their children to see those movies. And the Soviet Union also, they showed Hindi movies, or Bollywood movies. Now, of course, today they don't show them anymore because they've become disgusting, right? So, and when Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada was told that this movie was made, and he said, and they said, Prabhupada, they're making fun of us. They say we smoke marijuana. They say like Hare Krishna is just a hoax. Prabhupada said, do they say Hare Krishna? They said, yeah. Said, then it is all right. And see, it went all over the Muslim world. It went all over the Soviet Union, went to, maybe even to Europe. Prabhupada understood. Whether you say Hare Krishna with love and devotion, or you say it to make fun of people, it's still the holy name. It's absolute. Just like Ajamil. At the moment of death, he said Narayana. But he didn't mean Narayana. He had named his last son Narayana. And his son was like 10 years old at that time. So for 10 years, he was saying, Narayana, come here. Hey, Narayana, go take the trash out. Narayana, did you do your homework? And Narayana, stop talking nonsense. Hey, he was chanting Narayana, 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 right? And in the moment of death, it's like a heart attack, he was dying. He said, Narayana, and he died. So then the Yamadutas came because he was a Vishai, a sense gratifier. He was born in a Brahmin family. He was a pujari, but when he was 16 years old, he was walking home through a forest. He saw two very low-class people, a man and a woman, who were drunk, and they were engaged in illicit activity, and it affected his mind. And from that point on, he became a sense gratifier. He became like a dacoit. He married a very, very low-class woman and had 10 children with her. So that was in ancient times, right? Come fast forward when you give your cell phone to your kids. Nowadays, I see people in America and in India, they give their cell phone to like a 1 or 2 year old kid to play with. But after 1 year or 2 years of playing with that cell phone, he figures out or she figures out how to use it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Has anyone here murdered someone? Raise your hand. Let me ask a second question. Has anyone here ever seen in real time a person murdered? You did? They murdered a cow or a human being?
It was an accident.
Oh, it was an accident, yeah. Now, something that most people never have done and never see. As soon as you look at the television or you go to a movie, in 10 minutes you see 5 murders. Someone is choked to death, they die. Or someone takes a knife, puts it right into their heart, they die. Or they take a gun and they shoot. Right? Something you've never done and you've never seen. Now you're seeing, and it's called entertainment. Entertainment now is violence, it's abusiveness. Just like what is this movie? What's that movie? Pathan. Pathan shows you how mean and nasty and vicious the Muslims were with Hindu women and Sanatan Dharma. They came and tried to destroy it. And they defiled so many women and men, forced them to become Muslims, or they forced them through the jizya tax. And many poor Hindus couldn't pay the tax, therefore they had to become Muslims. So this movie is supposed to be entertainment, but Hindus go and see how the Muslims defiled and raped this country. Is that entertainment? That's not entertainment. That is shameful and horrible. But people go and see the movie. Hindus. So this is how sick people have become. And we have to be very careful. At least we have to teach our own children not to be victims of this type of abuse and horrible things. Okay, so the question you asked, Mahabharata is almost all stories because it's entertaining for the people. But through those stories, you can learn about the Shastra, or at least get a general idea of the Shastra. If you come to Vedanta Sutra, it's all Shastra. Very, very high-class Shastra. But Vedanta Sutra will not teach you exactly who Krishna is. It will at least bring you to the level of Brahman, realization. After Vyasadeva wrote or compiled the 4 Vedas, there was only one Veda at that time. He divided it into 4 Vedas: the Rig Veda, the Samaveda, the Ajurveda, and the Atharva Veda, to make it easier for people to understand. And then in those Vedas, you have the Upanishads, the 108 Upanishads, which are the philosophical parts of the Vedas. The Rig Veda simply tells you who you should worship to get such and such a benefit. And then the Samaveda teaches you the mantras you should say. And then the Rig Veda teaches you how to do the yajna. You know, how many priests you need, what kind of priests, what kind of fires you can have, and the orientation, northwest, southeast of all the ingredients. It's very complicated, right? And then Atharva Veda gives you extra knowledge, like Ayurveda, things like that. Okay? And then the Upanishads begin the shift from karma kanda, self-interested pujas or yajnas, to beginning to understand who is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how to approach Bhagavan without material desires, right? But it's very sketchy. It's not absolutely clear, but it's the beginning. And then you have the Mahabharata, which is to help people who are not on the level of high intelligence to begin to learn the Vedic knowledge through stories, because that's entertaining. And then there's the Vedanta Sutra, which is very top Shastra, right? But even Vedanta Sutra is not completely clear who is the Supreme Personality of God. So after writing all that, Vyasadeva was feeling forlorn. He wasn't happy. And he had a hunch what it was, but he wanted to hear it from his guru. So his guru came, Narada Muni, and he said, Guruji, I wrote all these Vedas, but I don't feel satisfied in my heart. Can you tell me why? He said, yeah, it's very simple. You wrote so much, and most of it was about Varnashram Dharma. You didn't explain clearly who God is. You didn't explain clearly who Krishna is. So people are still confused. And they're confused up until today. They think all gods are equal. Even Gandhi was saying that all religions are equal, all gods are equal. That's not true. Are all people equal? No. How can you say all gods are equal? That's not true either. But you have to know the Shastra. So therefore, Narada Muni suggested to him, look, you write this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is uniquely about Krishna. You can take stories and philosophy that you wrote earlier, but it's all meant to understand Krishna. Bhaktaram yagitapasam sarvabhakam Ishra. Sridam sarvabhutanam yadvaman samtirichyate. Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all yagyas. He is Maheshwara, the ultimate controller of everything in the universe, including our body, our mind, our senses. And Krishna is the best friend because he's present in your heart as Paramatma. He's closer to you than anyone else. Knowing these things, these 3 points, you will become Krishna conscious and you'll have Shanti and you'll go back to God. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is uniquely about Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is the summum bonum, the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the origin of everything. Krishna instructed Brahma, and Brahma became the secondary creator of the whole universe. He surrendered to Krishna, and Krishna enlightened him with knowledge. And today, I have good news for you. There's one thing that is not controlled by karma, and that is surrender to Krishna. Vibhishan came to Krishna, came to Rama, and he surrendered to him. And Sugriva and Lakshman said, don't believe him. He's coming as a spy. And Hanuman felt very sad that they said that. But Lord Ramachandra said, anyone who bows down in front of me, I will accept them no matter who they are. Now, Vibhishan was Ravana's brother. He looked like a Asura or a Rakshasa, man-eating demon, right? But he was actually a devotee. So clothes don't make the man, and the body doesn't really define who you are. It's what's in your heart. So even an Asura can surrender to Krishna because surrender to Krishna is not controlled by karma. It's the one thing that's not controlled by karma. Okay, so that's good news. Now, finish the answer to the question. The Shastra is way superior to stories, but people get bored just hearing Shastra. Just like if you go to a temple where they're just reciting mantras. Okay, they know the mantras. You don't really understand what they're saying because you don't know Sanskrit. So after a little while, you'll get bored, or your kids will get bored. They say, why are you forcing me to come here? I don't understand what they're saying. And then you're saying, J-Karo, J-Karo, J-Karo. I'm not going to do J-Karo anymore because I don't know who God is. In fact, I don't believe in God. They taught us that there's no God in school. You see? So they have more influence than you do. Therefore, you shouldn't send your kids to these schools. You should keep them at home and take an interest in educating your own kids. And then, ladies, why you work in IT? You should stay at home and educate your kids. And then, ladies, you can have groups of women that want to do the same thing. And then it's very easy. Then your kids socialize with other kids who are being taught to be devotees. That's the solution to the problem. The solution to the problem is not putting your kids in school. They're going to teach them like Hiranyakashipu was trying. He sent his kid to a demon school, but because the boy was already Krishna conscious, he refused to learn it. But your kids, you're putting them voluntarily in these schools. They don't know what they're getting into, and eventually, they're going to become sense gratifiers and atheists because they're being educated by atheists. So I'll stop right there. Thank you very much. You have a question?
Maharaj, can you please share some memories with Srila Prabhupada?
That'll take at least 3 or 4 hours. But I have written things. There's videos of me speaking about Prabhupada. So you can take a look at this. So thank you. Hare Krishna. Sorry it took so long.
So let us thank His Holiness Vilas Maharaj with 3 loud and enthusiastic Haribols. The more
I want to give 300 bowls to you. So be patient enough to hear my bad jokes.
Maharaj, you taught us what is a guru and a kangaroo. So that's I will never forget that.
By the way, have you ever heard that before?
No. And you taught us that we should not send our children to DPS, demon public schools.
Have you heard that before?
So there are so many nice things he told Maharaj. So I would like to just tell some of you that how fortunate we are. Maharaj always says, say Jai Prabhupada first. So let's say Jai Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Yes. Now I can speak a little about Maharaj with your permission. Maharaj is a grihastha. He has 6 children. How many here have 6 children? Can you lift your hands?
8 grandchildren.
And 8 grandchildren. And he's we need examples to implement in life, right? So Maharaj has not only opened temples, he has revived temples which are getting closed, right? And like even the Seattle temple, it was in very deep trouble. Maharaj revived it and created another $4.5 million temple and finished the loan in few years completely. You know, and Maharaj opened the Paris Ishwar temple. Maharaj, is that the Paris? Yeah, you know the great Paris Ishwar temple, Prabhupada. So Maharaj opened the Paris temple and called Prabhupada. And Maharaj is also GBC for many countries, which many people don't even dare to go, right? For especially preaching Krishna consciousness, including Turkey, including many other countries. As today morning, the list was just going on. Maybe more than 15 countries. You know, so, and Maharaj is a traveling preacher. And another amazing thing, being a grihastha himself, he himself cleans, milks, maintains 100 cows 6 hours every single day. That means something. That means I know a little bit of it.
It means Krishna is a cowherd boy. He loves cows. Of course, his cows are Kamadenas, but he loves cows. If you have a cow and you take care of the cow with love and devotion, your life is going to be peaceful. Your life is going to be prosperous, and you're going to be blessed by Krishna. This was the original culture of Bharat. Nowadays, people are mistreating the cows in Bharat, and there are many problems. we have to go back to that original culture. And Krishna is a cowherd boy. So if you take care of cows, just like I had one devotee, and his son was autistic. And I said to him, do you know why he became autistic? You know what autism is?
Yes.
I said, you know why he's autistic? He said, no. I said, did you agree for the nurse in the hospital to give him a shot the second day of his life? He said, yeah. They said, we have to do it because he's got jaundice. I said, that is a lie. All babies have jaundice, but all they need is their mother's milk. The mother's is the first milk, and the mother is an antiseptic and antibacterial, antifungal medicine. Just like the first milk of the cow after giving a child is colostrum. It is a miracle healing substance. So does it make sense to stick a needle right into a 2-day-old baby and give them a shot? If they make a little mistake and put too much or whatever it is they're doing and putting, it can cause autism. It can cause other serious consequences. I said, when you were born, did your family give you a shot the second day you were born? I said, no. He said, not only that, my father and mother, they lived in Bangalore, and it was a house in Bangalore. They purposely bought a cow so I could have fresh milk. I said, see, they didn't use shots or vaccines or anything like that. They used Gomata's sacred milk. And you've grown up to be a healthy person. Why would you ever let them do such a thing to your kid? Now your whole life you're going to suffer because your child is autistic. So be very careful. The culture today is dangerous. The doctors in India are no different than the doctors in the United States. They're dangerous people. They're recommending all kinds of things that are actually poisonous for you. So I don't want to scare you, but be very careful. Old is gold. Go back to the original culture. Find out about Ayurveda. Find out about Panchakarma. Find out about Gomata's milk. And you be a responsible parent, and you'll protect your children.
And thank you, Maharaj, for that. And Maharaj also advised some things that we should take for fighting against the antibiotics we are taking. Yesterday, Maharaj was telling. And, I'm going to share that in the next classes. I have written it down. Some very important things that we don't know. We are messing up our bodies, and how we're getting cancer and so many other things. So Maharaj was sharing. So very grateful to you, Maharaj. And Maharaj also told me to learn how to grow vegetables. And he told to take my both sons to the farm for a number of weeks. Do it yourself, be a farmer, take the cow dung, take the cow urine, make the manure, do it, and don't have to depend on anyone. You grow vegetables and then make sure everybody has offered Krishna vegetables, right? So that's something that Maharaj is inspired. Maharaj himself is doing it. Maharaj himself does it in large scale. They grow flowers, they grow vegetables, all kinds of vegetables, and fruits. And Maharaj told, yesterday when he was saying, he said, we also grow thotakura. I didn't understand what Maharaj said, but I was like, did you mean thotakura?
Rajgira.
And we, in this short.
And also, I'll think of it in a second. It's very famous in Tamil Nadu.
Is it a vegetable, Maharaj?
Yes, it's a leaf.
Moringa. Not moringa.
No.
दूध का चुका
No. It's
drumstick.
no.
The lips.
It heals sicknesses. It's I'll think of it in a minute.
So so Maharaj in Seattle, he does agriculture, he does go seva with his own hands, not just the speaker of go mata and you never see go mata for months. That's not the way. And he encourages volunteers from the temple to actually come and do it. There are families who go once in a week, or once in a month. I don't know how the division is done, but every day there are number of families coming to Goshala and the farmland and actually doing it with their hands. And they have their workforce is the entire devotee community. There's a workforce for the farms.
Manatakalu. Have you ever heard that? It's the name in Tamil Nadu.
Enna Swami?
You know what it is? Manatakalu? Yeah. It's very healing herb.
Hare Krishna. So that's one other thing. And Maharaj came to our Vaishnava Seva Kunj. We actually took Maharaj for a little time, so at least he'll come and see the cows. I wanted to ask Maharaj that, are our cows happy? Are they looking happy and healthy? And Maharaj told that they look to be happy, and now you want to say how you felt coming there. This community is serving them. Many of them are doing great.
What you're doing is called, it is called community-supported agriculture and dairy. Community-supported agriculture and dairy. We are not banyas or businessmen. We're not trying to sell things. We're trying to return to the original culture where you grow your own food. You have self-sufficiency, you don't have to import anything from China or America or Europe. And this was what Gandhi wanted also. He wanted to decentralize all the big cities. People go back to their villages. In the village, there was a family compound in which there would be 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 generations of family members living together and cooperating and listening to Pitaji and Mataji or grandfather, grandmother. And they were all happy, they were prosperous, and they achieved the goal of life because they were living a sattvic, Krishna conscious life. So they had prosperity, they had peace, they had good children, and at the end of life they went back to Godhead. They didn't take birth again as animals or insects, right? That was Sanatana Dharma. So we have to bring it back. You should not be afraid to think, oh, it's impossible. It's not impossible because this type of society is not sustainable. It can easily collapse. One Pakistani atomic bomb could put the whole country in chaos overnight. So do not think that this is going to be the model that will sustain you. It could very easily collapse because it's based on a lot of nonsense. Right? Just like, look what's happened to the Bitcoin. It's collapsed, right? Everyone thought they were going to become billionaires with Bitcoins. But all of a sudden it collapsed because it's all hoax.
And when Maharaj visited Vaishnava Seva Kunj, he spent time with the cows and calves, and then I told Maharaj that if you can just sit down for some time, Maharaj, let's not rush. And then Maharaj actually gave a 1-hour class to the Go-Sevaks there. It was unbelievable the way Maharaj is extending himself. Maharaj has a lot of back pain, Maharaj is traveling, jet lag, so many things, age also. But still, any place we are stopping Maharaj is completely extending himself. Even yesterday till 12 o'clock, Maharaj was listening.
What did I advise you for the Sevaks?
Every Sunday.
Yeah, so we have to go and we have to put our hands in the ground. We have to make the manure. We have to plow.
So the class to the Go-Sevaks.
Oh yeah, the Go-Sevaks. Yeah. So the Go-Sevaks yesterday, Maharaj explained the difference between humans and animals, how the propensity is same, but the humans have a higher dharma, most of us have heard in the same philosophy. Maharaj explained them, and the most touching things that I felt when Maharaj told them that just by serving cows, they all will go back to Godhead. Maharaj told. And Maharaj told that it's actually not Maharaj's words, it's Prabhupada's words. That you want to tell that Prabhupada's words, Maharaj?
But you're not saying what happened yesterday. Yesterday, after 1 hour of pravachan to your workers, they're your workers, right? And then they complained. They said, Prabhuji comes, all he does is scold us. You didn't do this, you didn't do that. So I said, Prabhu, I said, from now on, when you come, first you have class like I just did with your workers. And you explain Sanatana Dharma to them. Then you give them all a notebook and a pen. And they have to write one thing down that they learned from you that day. And then you give them homework. You give them a copy of Bhagavad Gita, and they can look up more information about that one thing. So every time you come, before you scold them, first you give Sanatana Dharma to them, then you scold them.
Actually, when Maharaj told I have to teach Bhagavad Gita, then one of the workers there, his name is Raju, little revolting kind of guy, he said, but he always scolds us, why should we listen from him? Then Maharaj told, okay, so he's going to teach you first, then he'll scold you.
Then you'll accept the scope.
Yeah, actually maybe if I sincerely follow Maharaj's such a nice advice, I don't think there will be a need to scold them anymore. Eventually, they will understand what should be done. So it was really overwhelming even for them. Today, one of the workers called me and I scolded him. But then after scolding, I told him that, I'm also going to come and do what Maharaj told yesterday. So he said, yeah, we are waiting. So anyway, that's the way it works sometimes there. But I'm really grateful, and I mean, how should I express that? You don't know what you're all doing in supporting that activity that we are doing. 60 cows, bulls, calves, we are somehow making it happen. It doesn't happen without Krishna's blessings. It cannot happen without the support of a community. It is just happening. I'm very grateful to every family here, Maharaj, who's actually coming forward. It's just not the amount that you're giving. The prayers that you're doing every time there is a cow that is ill, I send a message. I send that message in the group when I'm hopeless. Actually, it goes to a point when I'm hopeless. Then I send that message, and then all of you pray. And so many times, so many calves which were almost expected to die, they literally came back. Like Vishnu Priya was one such calf, almost dead, and she got up. And Tungavidya was another such calf. So there are many, and now Tulasi, she's going through cancer of one of the horns. We removed the horn. It was a very critical surgery, and we're hoping that the cancer doesn't come back. Chances are there, but let's keep the prayers on, and let's continue the service that we are doing. And Maharaj, one other devotee in our Satsang has started a similar Goseva, sitting in the back, Dasraj Prabhu. So he started with one bull and one calf. He opened a farmhouse. Haribol. So this activity should attract others also to do such kind of community activities of doing Goseva. And result is we are pleasing. One more thing Maharaj told yesterday in the farm was, wherever Krishna is there, cows are there, and wherever cows are there, Krishna is there. So if you are serving cows, Krishna is looking at all of us. Krishna is looking at all of us. So that faith we all should have. So even the short visit, Maharaj, that you've given us, this time, even though they were weekdays, I mean, we should really thank Praveen Prabhu and so much you three Lord Haribol. They have extended themselves, so much to make all the preparations, doing all this, calling everybody, and I'm also grateful to everybody who has come, even though it's a weekday. It's difficult. You all have office calls and so many other things. Still, you manage to come here, and Maharaj, it is simply happening because you are here, and we request you next time a little more time, and for sure your presence at least once in a year whenever you come to India, Maharaj. Please, we'll be so grateful. Let's welcome Maharaj. Every time he comes to India, please visit Hyderabad and make this into Krishnabad. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Those are Maharaj's words today.
We're already working on Aurangabad to change it to Krishnabad also.
Hari Bol! Maharaj is also working on Aurangabad, where he also goes and he extends himself by giving his association. So Maharaj is also coming. Actually, this year Maharaj is so amazing. 2023, we are getting so many senior devotees coming here and giving their association. I mean, I really feel it's causeless mercy of Prabhupada that's just pouring in one after the other, one after the other. And we are also, planning some big targets, Maharaj, in terms of book distribution or Rath Yatras. And maybe sometimes we are speaking beyond our reach and beyond our capacity. But I'm sure when Krishna is sending able trainers like you to come and train us, we can achieve what we have planned. That's what I feel. If you all believe that, can you say Hari Bol? Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Along with the instruction comes empowerment. Along with the dream comes even stronger dreamer who comes and says dreams are possible. And Maharaj has always repeated, impossible is a word in.
Not there in the dictionary version.
It's not in the Vaishnava dictionary, impossible. Yeah. So let's aim for the impossible. Even Maharaj coming here from Seattle was impossible. It became possible. Now let's also have impossible targets for our satsang. Let's have the same rigor, and I request all the preachers, whether they're youth preachers or congregation preachers, have started preaching or have been preaching, to please come and take blessings of Maharaj, because such a exemplifying leader himself who has preached so many people to Krishna consciousness. We need his blessings so we can do justice to our activities. So please, before Maharaj leaves, come and take blessings, and we will thank Maharaj once again with 3 loud and enthusiastic Hari Bols. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! And we'll pray for Maharaj's good health, so Maharaj can continue like this and share his realizations and teachings more and more, and visit Hyderabad many times. And anybody who visits, I'm sure many of you are in IT, who visits US anytime, please take time to go and see the farm community in Seattle. Take the knowledge transition and come back here, and let's implement whatever Maharaj has implemented there. Hare Krishna. So we have Pushpabhishekam here. So please, I request you can come to that side. Maharaj, you have nothing to say? Pushpabhishekam. Prabhu. Maharaj started this. Can we start the Kirtan? Can we have? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's welcome Maharaj Gopinath Prabhu, 3 loud Haribol. Gopinath Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Prashant is outside. After we finish the Pushpabhishekam, we can go and take Prashant outside. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Again, Grace Mother Gopinath Prabhu here. He looks so simple, very humble, and he is very humble. With his humility, he has opened 2 temples for ISKCON. And he's a very senior leader in the Infosys management himself. He has a huge team that works under him, and the whole community, Singapore Township, is almost Krishna conscious community now, with Prabhuji's grace. Prabhuji has started a farm community for more than 70 acres. And literally, Gurukul has already started. Whatever is spoken is already implemented. We are very backward, I think. There's a lot to catch up. So let us welcome with loud, heartful Haribols. Hari! And Prabhuji is trained by Vilas Maharaj. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. It's already very late. Let's come fast. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.